Good morning, grade 8. Mr. Samir Awad with you for science lesson week 9. Today was about science and the natural world. And the key or the clue for this lesson is about what skills do scientists use in order to do science. So let's start by the first skill, which is observing. And observing here means using one or more of your senses to gather information, like use the sight in order to get something, in like using touch in order to know it's hot or cold, like using the microscope in order to know the microorganisms, which is a little bit you cannot see, like bacteria or viruses or something like that. So either using senses or using tools will help you to get observation. For example, we got our session about by using observing chimps, which is a type of monkeys, like the one in figure 1, Jane Goodwell, learned what they eat. She also learned what sounds chimps make and even what games they play. So she observes them by sight, so she can get all of that by even by her sense of hearing, so she get the sounds they make when they are playing too. Also, that's illustrating while Jane was watching the chimps playing. Okay, observing can be either quantitative or qualitative. So from its name, quantitative, it depends on numbers or amount. For example, if you get on your email 11 new emails, so 11 it's a number, so it's a quantitative observation, you get it. But when it gets to qualitative one, the observation deals with description, to describe what happened, to describe what is the color, to describe something you taste, something you touch. So that observation is expressed, not cannot express in numbers. It's expressed by emotions you get it sometimes, or by the senses that you get. Like the bike is blue, you watch it with your eye, and the lemon is sour, you taste it with your you know tongue. The second criteria you have to get it, or the second step you have to get it when you are doing science, is inferring. And inferring, when you explain or interpret that things you observed before. So for example here, one day Jane watched as a chimp peered into a tree hollow, and the chimp here picked up a handful of leaves and chewed on them. Then took the leaves out of its mouth and pushed them into hollow inside the tree. When the chimp pulled the leaves out, Jane saw the gleam of water. So the chimp then put the wet leaves back into its mouth. So Jane reasoned that there was water inside the tree hollow. So for that, that's inferring. She didn't observe the water inside, but she inferred, or she, reasoning that accordingly to the water inside, they get it onto the leaves. So Jan didn't make observation, she only was inferring. That's the one who was on the tree doing that. Predicting is the step number 3, and predicting means making a statement or a claim about what will happen in future based on past experience or evidence. For example, when you get a lot of clouds in the sky, you start to predict it's going to rain. So according to your previous yeah observation about the clouds, you can say it's going to rain. So by observing, Jane learned that when a chimp was frightened, angry, and its hair stood on ends, so that means they are going to, she predict they are going to do something wrong by throwing rocks or chicken trees or making some noise voices that she was predicting able to, that was danger for the people to act with them now. Classifying, guys, and classifying is like grouping something together of items that are alike, similar to each other. So in some other way. So Jane could have grouped together all the information about Jumio feeding habits or his resting habits. So she started to group them in resting and the location according to the location. So the feeding habit and the resting habits. So that's a grouping, guys, according to the habits they have to do. Evaluating involves comparing observation and the data to reach conclusion about them. For example, for me as a teacher, when I get to start evaluate my students, I have to make a comparison who's working, who's not, so I can get a conclusion who's going to success or who's going to get it back to study. So, for example, Jane would have needed to compare all of Jumea yeah, behavior was use of the chance to reach the conclusion. She would also need to have evaluated the resulting behavior data of Jamil, yeah, and the other champs. So according to the conclusion she got, the comparison she got, the conclusion about their behavior. Yeah, making the model is the last step you can do. It involves creating representations of a complex object or process. For example, I get a theory. So the theory is collecting all of the ideas about this part. So some models can be touched, yeah, like map. Yeah, so I'm making a model of the country or of a place. So by making its own map as a model. Others in the form of mathematical equation, for example, quadratic equation is used for solving some problems. So a computer programs, you use computer program in order to chat or in order to do something, calculating. So that's example for modeling, guys. And Jane made this model in order to get the movement of Jamil. Yeah, the resting, climbing, and feeding can be by circle resting. Yeah, by triangle you will get climbing. By the star it's feeding time or the place you are going to feed in. And that's all, guys, we get today. Thank you, grade 8, for your attention. And if you please, I want you to start to get back to Pearson Realize, get your, assignments and start to do it, inshallah. Yeah, God bless you all and stay safe.